The 2024 season is right around the corner, and it seems like Toto Wolff has started with an optimistic approach when it comes to fighting for the championship. Although not many believe Mercedes could catch up with Red Bull, it does seem like the opposite approach has been taken by the Brackley-based squad, and more importantly, Mercedes believes they have all the facilities in order to make this happen. After Wolff's latest statements when it comes to 2024 and 2025, the hopes that we'll see the 2021 rivalry come back to life have been lifted sky high, and that's exactly what we needed to end this year with. So what did Wolff have to say about 2024, and more importantly, is there any way Mercedes could back up its talk with some action? It goes without saying that the previous 2 years have been one of the most, if not the most, excruciating ones for Mercedes, having only one win in Brazil in 2022 during this period and finishing P3 and P2 in the Constructors' Championship is not something you want to brag about. But with the technical staff reshuffle and after James Allison got his old seat back, the technical director of the team, it seems like Mercedes started to make some strides. While many thought that Red Bull would have the advantage of having the luxury to work on the 2024 car early in the current season, it might actually not be that way after all, and the teams that continued with the development up until the last race of 2023 could have the upper hand after all. This has been discussed by many F1 experts who believe that thanks to the fact that there are not many changes in the technical regulations, the teams would have it easier to catch up with Red Bull, as they've now finally understood which steps need to be taken and what direction would be the best one. Mercedes has opted to ditch the zero pod design for the 2024 season, and with Allison announcing that the downwash solution used by the rest of the grid is very likely to be applied on the W15, it seems like Mercedes has finally accepted that a more traditional approach is what needs to be done in order to take the battle to Red Bull's necks. However, many believe that the 2026 season is the first season in which the Brackley-based squad will have a good season ahead of them and the first opportunity to tackle Red Bull, something that Wolff denied with his recent statements. Elaborating on this further, Wolff boosted the hopes of the Mercedes fans that 2024 and 2025 are not going to be data learning seasons and that Red Bull will have it very hard to defend against Hamilton and Russell, adding, "I don't want to give up on the recovery and say, well, let's wait for 2026, new car, new engine. There are 2 more important years to go. I want to see it as a testament for the strengths of the team that we are capable to recover and race for championships. That's our clear objective." Of course, the 2026 changes are going to be very massive, and when you think about it, it's going to provide a very different challenge to the entire grid. The cars won't have the MGU-H unit, and the output of the electrified part of the hybrid powertrain will nearly triple to 350 kilowatts to create an equal power split with the 1.6-litre turbocharged internal combustion engine. But that's not all. The front and rear wings will become active as part of the chassis overhaul, and the wheel rim size will drop from 18 to 16 inches, making the cars shorter, narrower, and 50 kilos lighter. Still, Wolff understands that the project his team is about to set sail on is not going to be an easy one, and the odds are definitely turned against Mercedes. But with all the knowledge they have, it's not an impossible mission. It's just one that's going to take a lot of overtime work and a lot of sleepless nights back in Brixworth and Brackley. Adding to this, Wolff continued to elaborate. Looking at the odds for Mercedes to get back to the top before 2026 are very difficult. Looking at performances of other teams, how Aston Martin has done over the winter from 2022 to 2023, McLaren recovered a second with an upgrade they expected to come in at 0.25 seconds. There is a sweet spot that you need to find, and that unlocks more potential. I think the biggest contributor is that the drivers start to have a car that they can trust, which they can't at the moment with the W14. Obviously, one of the biggest issues that the W14 had was stability, as Hamilton and Russell constantly complained about the unpredictability of the car. Whenever the team tried to add more downforce to it, it just made things worse. And with the resigning of Mike Elliott, the team is now moving in an unknown, brand new direction in which they have to take on the risk of understanding everything wrong for the third consecutive year. Although it's a very unlikely scenario to happen, Wolff was adamant that it's still present as a possibility. But after Hamilton's latest comments about the W15 and the performance of the car in the wind tunnel, there seems to be little to no doubt that Mercedes would be a lot more competitive in 2024. The initial promise of Wolff that the car would be 2.5 seconds faster compared to 2023 seems to have come alive after the first impressions. And when talking about this, Hamilton's narrative has changed quite swiftly from a pessimistic to an optimistic point of view, adding, "I've been very busy. It's been a long year, but just tying up all the loose ends, working with the team. I was at the team yesterday just thanking everyone for the amazing work they've done throughout the year. It's a special time of the year. You're winding down and you're seeing where we're going next. The mood is very positive. I think all the members in the team are incredibly grateful to have got second in the constructors, given the challenges that we faced this season. And so it's always quite emotional. It's always difficult to judge the progress of the car. I'm not an engineer or a designer, so it's not easy. It's always the exciting time of the year because I've seen the car in the wind tunnel. I always go by the wind tunnel when I go to the factory to see it evolve in whatever direction it ends up going. Literally, when I was leaving yesterday again, I popped in just to see where we were, and when I come back, it will be again a different animal." These words have been said for the previous 2 years as well, I know, but keep in mind that Mercedes stuck with a design that failed to work. And while I want to say kudos to them for experimenting with something that had a high-risk, high-reward type of nature to it, it did put them back 18 months in progress, and it's a design they should have ditched a long time ago, basically the first time they didn't see any results from it. But nothing is lost, and just because they are 18 months behind in development doesn't mean it couldn't be done for the following season. Yet Red Bull winning 21 out of 22 venues is the most demotivating thing their rivals could enter the upcoming season with. But as the 2023 season was closing, we saw that the RB19 was not as powerful as it was at the beginning of the year. Part of this goes to the fact that they haven't been developing the car since July, but since the technical regulations remain the same for next year, we probably shouldn't be expecting that many upgrades in performance with the RB20, as the car has already failed the first FIA crash test, which is kind of interesting news to mention either way. Red Bull itself knows that the season they had in 2023 is not going to repeat, and when talking about this, Horner said, "It's been a remarkable season for us. None of us could ever have imagined the kind of season we've just completed. To win 21 out of the 22 races, 5 of the 6 sprint races, defend both titles and break many records along the way, some that have stood since 1988. It epitomizes that every aspect of the team has been operating at a phenomenal level." It's not just the design and the operation of the car, it's the production, the support functions, it's every single department across all the different challenges, different types of circuits and conditions that we've had over the year, and reliability. It's a combination of all those aspects coming together that has just made for the most gratifying team performance that I doubt we'll be able to achieve again, statistically, with what we've done this year. With this in mind, do you think that Mercedes has what it takes to take the battle right up to Red Bull's necks in 2024? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.